everyone. Welcome. My name is Robert Roth, and I'm a co-founder of the Haiti Action Committee. Thank you so much for taking the time out from your Saturday to join us for what promises to be an informative and inspiring program about the fight for justice and democracy in Haiti. A quick shout out to Karina Nolette from Global Exchange, who has helped us with all the technical aspects of the program. Thank you so much, Karina. We're honored today to have with us two leaders of Fanmi Lavalas political organization, the People's Party in Haiti. Fanmi Lavalas was founded by former President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, Haiti's first democratically elected president, and it has maintained course through two coups d'etats, wholesale repression, and counterinsurgency, all of which continue today. Lavalas represents hope and dignity for the people of Haiti, who have deep memories of the ways in which Lavalas governments concretely fought to bring education, housing, justice, and respect to the poor majority in Haiti. Lavalas also provides a powerful example of grassroots organizing that we should take lessons from here as we build movement in the US. Dr. Maryse Narcisse is the coordinator of Fanmi Lavalas and a member of its executive committee. She was the Lavalas candidate for president in the last round of presidential elections there. Pacha Vorbe is also a member of the executive committee of Fanmi Lavalas and brings a long, courageous history of activism to this program today. We are excited, we are honored to have them both with us. It is a rare opportunity to hear directly from the popular movement in Haiti, a movement that has withstood so much and has continued to grow and to mobilize. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Haiti Action Committee. We began in the wake of the 1991 US orchestrated coup that ousted President Aristide and led to a reign of terror within Haiti. And here we are today, 30 years later, still proudly standing in solidarity with Haiti's popular movement, a movement that keeps fighting no matter what. I want to remind people that this is also a fundraiser for the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, which has been providing solidarity, relief, and support for grassroots projects and organizing since its founding in 2004. You can donate throughout the program or after at www.haitiemergencyrelief.org. Walter Riley, who is co-chair of Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, along with Sister Maureen Dignan, will be explaining the work of Haiti Emergency Relief Fund later in the program. We hope that you will give generously. Just a little housekeeping. The chat is disabled. We want to focus on what the speakers are saying and give everybody that focus. There will be question and answer session at the end of the program, time permitting, which we think it will be. And we're looking at the program lasting about an hour and a half, give or take. And so if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and they will go to the panelists. With that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker today, who is Kiyoshi Taylor. And Kiyoshi is going to introduce a video highlighting the achievements of Fanmi Lavalas that he helped produce. Kiyoshi is a member of the Haiti Action Committee, Students for Haiti Solidarity, and Justice Vanguard. And we're so happy to be working with you, Kiyoshi, and with your powerful work in the South Bay. Kiyoshi, you're on.
Thank you all so much for having me today. It's an honor and a privilege to be alongside all these terrific comrades. Truly is. Real quick, as I introduce this video, I just kind of want to briefly speak on what Haiti means to me as a local activist and someone who does grassroots organizing here. Haiti has always been a bit of a beacon to me, a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, because despite all the trials and tribulations they go through, they find a way to just keep going, and it's unbelievable. And personally, I look to the struggle in Haiti, and I compared to some of the other struggles going on around the world for Black liberation. And I looked to their resilience as a way to just keep fighting and also inspire others to keep fighting. It's been a joy to work alongside Pierre, who helped transcribe this video. So I would be remiss if I didn't shout him out. And also in Los Saltos, Juneteenth, we will be hosting another big celebration, and there will be a Haiti booth there. So if you guys want to learn more, please come to that as well. But yes, Haiti is at the center of my heart, and it's just been an honor once again working with all of you guys. So without further ado, this is the video that we created.
If there had not been a coup d'etat in 2004, we would not have regressed so much today. The country's budget for fiscal year 01 to 02 consists of $514 million US, 589 million from 02 to 03. 03 to 04 consists of over $710 million. These 3 years consist of about $1.8 billion. Dr. President Ariel Henry worked in many areas, such as education, where he built 236 high schools and 298 public primary schools. In addition, he provided parents and students with subsidies, 50, 60, and up to 70% during these 3 years to purchase books and other school supplies. Had it not been for the kidnapping and coup d'etat, books would have been free for all school children. Remember that during this time, primary schools and students' transportation were free. Also, opportunities provided for everyone who did not know how to read or write would attend Alpha School. Healthcare. Dr. President Steve built 103 healthcare centers, 201 clinics, and a universal hospital, the Peace Hospital. Also, he established a cooperation with Cuba that resulted in 194 graduates in healthcare through the year 2016. In the area of housing, homes for the people, Lavalas built Village Renaissance, Onaville, La Salenne, Village Montferry, all in 2004. In addition, 52 public parks were constructed in various regions throughout the country. In the area of energy, Gonaïve, Jeremy, Jacmel, Okai had electricity for 24 hours a day. Port-au-Prince had electricity for 18 hours a day. Cap-Haïtien had electricity for 16 hours daily. Let's look at the budget during the first term of the Tek Kali Party of Haitian Skinheads, PHTK. And in 2012, they had a budget of about $2.4 billion US. 12 to 13, they had about $3 billion US. And from 13 to 14, it was about $2.7 billion. And about $2.6 billion in 2014 to 15. From 2015 to 2016, it was about $2.5 billion US. When added all up, the addition totals about $13.4 billion US. When we divided the total amount of money squandered by the PHTK into the total 40 billions of the Lavalas budget, it comes to about 14 times greater than the budget of Lavalas. So think of it. Had there not been a coup d'etat, with the problems of schools, healthcare, public housing, the environment, roads, no electricity, high cost of living, unemployment, minimum wage, the d'etat, do we understand where we would be today?
Thank you, Kiyoshi. That video gives you a glimpse, just a glimpse, of what Lavalas is all about. But it provides some background for what we hear later from Dr. Narcisse and Pacha Vorbe later in the program. Now I'd like to introduce Margaret Prescod. Margaret is a leading member of Global Women's Strike and Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike. She is also the host and executive producer of Sojourner Truth program for KPFA in Los Angeles. And she has been a central force in the Haiti solidarity movement for years, a true comrade and leader in that struggle. Margaret has been to Haiti numerous times, including during the last presidential election campaign when Margaret hit the campaign trail with Dr. Narcisse and also investigated the horrific massacre at La Saline. Margaret brought back stories that the mainstream media would not cover and continue not to cover today. Margaret is also going to be relaying a message from Representative Maxine Waters, who unfortunately could not be here today, but wanted to send greetings to the program. Margaret?
Thank you so much, Robert, and greetings to everyone. And because my listeners in other cities, those listeners of Sojourner Truth, will absolutely have my head if I don't mention Sojourner Truth is indeed a national broadcast. We're in New York, DC, and about 35 cities across the nation and internationally on SoundCloud. Robert, thank you so much for that generous introduction. And Kiyoshi, congratulations on that video. It's really to see the achievements and what could have been if that horrific coup did not happen. I'll just start to give some brief remarks from Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Please know I'm not part of her staff, but I have worked with the Congresswoman on matters related to Haiti for several years. Congresswoman Maxine Waters sends her regrets for not being able to participate in today's event, Haitian Voices of Resistance Today. Congresswoman Waters has long been and continues to be a friend of Haiti. She has met with today's presenters, Dr. Maryse, Narcisse, and Pacha Vorbe, both members of the Lavalas Executive Committee. She also met with the surviving victims of the brutal November 2018 massacre that took place in La Saline in Haiti's capital city. Congresswoman Waters helped to distribute resources to the victims. She participated in several human rights delegations to Haiti, including meeting to express her concerns with the US ambassador to Haiti and other personnel at the US Embassy in Haiti. I should also quickly mention just a few weeks ago, during a trip to the Caribbean region, Congresswoman Waters was in Barbados, my home country, and the Congresswoman met with the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, as well as the Barbados Ambassador for CARICOM. As the movement for democracy is never far from the Congresswoman's mind, it should come as no surprise then that she discussed Haiti with them. And since then, CARICOM seriously considering some of their positions. You might also recall that following the coup, and this is my giving you some background now on the relationship of the Congresswoman to Haiti. You might also recall that following the coup against President Jean-Bertrand Aristide in 2004, it was Congresswoman Waters who, at great risk, traveled to the Central African Republic to ensure that President Aristide and his family got safely out of that country. Many of us had feared for the safety of President Aristide and his family. As a member of Congress, she is a singular voice that is trusted by the masses of people of Haiti. When they hear a member of Congress issuing any statements on Haiti, they always ask, well, what does Congresswoman Waters think? Is she involved? This is the reality of the impact of the years of her principled support for the people of Haiti. So today, Congresswoman Waters sends her special greetings to Dr. Narcisse and to Pacha, as he is fondly known by the movement, and for the success of this event and for their continued work on behalf of the best interests of the people of Haiti. Just on a personal note, I know that whenever there's a crisis in Haiti that the Congresswoman needs to hear about, I can, any time of day or night, contact her staff her staff member who works on Haiti, and the Congresswoman will respond. She will do whatever she can, whether, as she did recently, helping Haitian refugees that were wrongfully held in US immigration, or to assist in fundraising for the hospital built on the campus of the University of the Aristide Foundation, and so much more. But finally, today, my other hat, on behalf of the Global Women's Strike, Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike and Payday Men's Network, I must bring congratulations and greetings to today's distinguished speakers, as well as to congratulate the Haiti Action Committee for their 30 years of principled solidarity work on Haiti. I would be negligent not to mention that Selma James, the widow of CLR James, thank her for her consistent encouragement and support as she reminds all in our women's network that our practical and ongoing support for Haiti must be a priority. I also want to lift up the late Ndiaye of Guyana, who worked closely with me to gather support for the movement for democracy in Haiti in the Caribbean region. And given that Ndiaye is now a beloved ancestor, we are continuing that work as best we can. I also must quickly mention the stellar work of Pierre Labossiere, who remains for our Women's Network our point of reference in Haiti. I know I can call Pierre anytime, day or night, and he is ready to listen and do what he can. And we're also aware that Pierre's work would not be possible without the other co-founder of Haiti Action, Robert Roth. Robert, thank you. Also, all of the longtime and new members of Haiti Action, I've been proud to be part of delegations to Haiti with Pierre, with Robert, as well as Seth Donnelly, Walter Riley, Leslie Mullen. So congratulations to all of you. And what can I say, Maryse and Pacha? I'm always happy to be in your presence, to sit at your feet and to learn from you. Finally, Maryse, I recall fondly being on the campaign trail with you when you were the Lavalas presidential candidate, and witnessed the great love of the people for Lavalas and the people who called you Mama. It was so moving. And Maryse, how much you mean to the women of Haiti, women who are so central to the movement for democracy there, and whose caregiving work sustains families, communities, and the movement. And Pacha, your clarity, your dedication and ability to express what the movement is, to be a voice for that movement and what it represents, is invaluable. Thank you for all of your work at the great risk on behalf of the people of Haiti, at your great risk. We take seriously that none of us can be truly free if Haiti is not free. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Thank you for your work, for your consistent dedication to Haiti and to Haiti solidarity, and to all of the many, many other initiatives you've taken on behalf of justice, both around the world and here. And thank you, Congresswoman Waters, for your amazing work around Haiti. And what Margaret said is completely true. It's in terms of any congressional initiatives or congressional work, the touchstone for that has always been Maxine Waters. And she's seen that way in Haiti, and she's seen that way in the Haiti Solidarity Movement. We're honored now to have with us Avotjca, who is quite simply a Bay Area icon. Avotjca is an award-winning poet, playwright, multi-percussionist, and photographer. Her shows on KPOO and KPFA have been must listen to for years and years. She has won so many awards for her work that it would be foolish to try even to list them. And she's always been there for Haiti, often on very, very short notice, but always there. Avotjca, can you share with us whatever you're going to do today?
I'm honored and humbled. I fell in love with IT from when I was a little child in New York, and have been in love with the example that they set for us all, and the price they paid for that example. This poem came to be that I'm going to read after a conversation with Pierre talking about the power of the folks in IT, and he'll explain this one section where I mentioned the power of IT, and even the piss in IT is something that can't be stopped. So this is called indestructible or indestructible. IT, Mystic Garden of Dreams. Mama IT, beautiful, magical incubator, mother of miraculous visions, you are the sacred womb of our freedom. Still infused with the spiritual integrity of Bukman, you are the divine light, the driving force, the seed that fed the dreams of Anacaona and Toussaint Louverture. You are the intangible source that ignites the fire inside the underlying unifying sincerity of a Jean-Jacques Dessalines. The promise in your voice cuts through steel, a mystical machete that sings through rah-rah prowess. And the whole world drinks your tears, trying to wash themselves clean on your pain. Mama IT, the fiend of greed may have tried to kill your economy and blindly deforest the wealth of your souls. They may have desecrated your rice fields, but you always bounce back. You are the light. And right now you shine on the newest incarnation of The Emperor Has No Clothes. Your unbreakable spirit is so powerful that even his story blushes as the whispered international embarrassment of having to admit defeat. Defeat at the hands of dismissed and determined Black peasants. Defeat of the world's strongest armies. Defeat a bitter pill and off-key soundtrack. Salt in the wounds to accompany the fall of an empire, and still you're paying for it. Paying for an evil not of your making, still paying in bloody deprivation for the behind whipping that left Napoleon crawling. Beautiful IT, sacred womb of freedom. Hold on, hold on, hold on. The emperor has no clothes and you are the light. The whole world finally sees right through the obscenity of this nudity, his nudity, and it's not a pretty picture. Majestic IT, proud incubator of independence, I too bathe in your sorrow, but after so long eating from the bowl of poverty, there is no hurricane or earthquake strong enough to re-enslave you. You may be stunned, knocked down for a minute in shock, but they will never knock you out, never knock you out, just like they couldn't lock you out of the palace gates. The proofs in the memory of the strength of your piss, a communal gift of poor folks' piss, eating its way through the aluminum-plated greed of sanctimonious despots. And we will not see you be defeated, Mamaiti. You are Arche, our never-ending, unbeatable spirit of freedom. You are the light, your spirit is immortal, and this time, the best of humanity is ready to help you be reborn. Thank you for listening to my words, and whatever you can do to support these remarkable people that are completely indestructible, please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Avotjca, for that wonderful, wonderful poem. And I would remind people that, again, this is a benefit for the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, which is www.haitiemergencyrelief.org. And, thank you so much again, Avotjca. Next, I want to bring on Pierre Labossiere, who will be introducing our featured speakers. And I told Pierre, I said, I'm not going to tell you my introduction for you, because he would say, don't say anything about me. But for many of us here, Pierre is the reason that we're engaged with Haiti Solidarity work. He's the heart and soul of that work and has been for decades. A co-founder of Haiti Action Committee, a board member and co-founder of Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, and one of the most dedicated organizers that I have ever met. Plus, as so many of us know, Pierre is a wonderful friend and a wonderful comrade. And so I'm introducing Pierre, who is going to lead us into an introduction for Maryse and Pacha. You're on, Pierre.
Thank you very much, Robert. Boy, I tell you, I would have said, no, don't say anything like that. But I'm really elated today, elated that 30 years ago, during this year, in March of 1992, President Aristide visited Oakland and Berkeley, the Bay Area, and that we were committed to stand in solidarity with the people of Haiti. But his visit really touched us very deeply. And so a core solidified, and that was the beginning of the Haiti Action Committee, where we did a lot of demonstrations, lots of activities to support, and this is an engagement we've been in for the past 30 years and looking forward to continuing much beyond that. So saying that, I wanted to say thank you to each and everyone locally in the Bay Area, Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco, the entire Bay Area, the South Bay, San Jose and Palo Alto and everywhere. I don't want to leave out anybody. But also we have many friends and supporters nationally and internationally. And I want to really thank each and every one. This brings to mind the passing of a great and dear friend of Haiti, great supporter of Haiti, who was also very much affiliated with Haiti Action Committee and Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. And also he was a continued member of Haiti Sanctuary Committee that's the committee with the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. And he's the former assembly member from the state of Louisiana, Theodore Marchand, known to us as Ted. Ted passed away 3 days ago, and we are going to dearly, dearly miss him. Principled man and very committed. And there's a wonderful picture of him and Dr. Maryse Narcisse during a visit in the Bay Area in 2017. So having said that, we wanted to say Ted Marchand presente, our dear friend, presente Ted.
Presente.
And also I would like to, every time this is quite an honor for me to introduce Dr. Narcisse and also Pacha Vorbe, to be formal, Dr. Maryse Narcisse and Mr. Joel Edouard Pacha Vorbe. But let's put the formalities aside, because the people of Haiti see them as sister and brother of the struggle, highly respected people. So I have the bio in front of me for Dr. Narcisse. She's a physician and public health specialist, and she graduated in 1982 from Haiti State University School of Medicine, providing healthcare. And it convinced her that public health is an essential tool to improving sanitary conditions in Haiti. She specialized in community health at Bichat University in Paris, and later she graduated from Tulane University School of Public Health in 1991. She has continued her studies in public health at SUNY at Albany, New York. Dr. Narcisse is a member of the board of administration of UNIFA. She's a dedicated activist for the rights of the most impoverished, national coordinator of Fanmi Lavalas Executive Committee, and was the candidate of Fanmi Lavalas in the last presidential elections in 2015, 2016. She's a mother. She has one daughter, Anik, and she has done a lot of work abroad. I mean, her bio is very extensive, but I'll summarize by saying she's done a lot of work on the issue of HIV/AIDS. She's worked in the Ministry of Public Health, has done so much work in the area of public health. And as a woman, and this one I have to quote her, Dr. Narcisse strongly believes that we must struggle against all forms of discrimination, be they based on gender, class, color, education level, and we must pass on to our children a country and a legacy which they would be proud to add their contributions to. So this is Dr. Narcisse. but our dear, beloved, highly respected brother as well, Pacha. Haiti, you don't need to say Vorbe. Whenever you say Pacha, everybody in Haiti knows Pacha Vorbe. And Pacha is a phenomenal man. He's a great, great, great cook. He graduated, he has a degree in hotel management and culinary arts, which he studied in Paris. And Pacha also did his primary school in Haiti, secondary and primary school there. Then he went to abroad in France to study. And Pacha returned to Haiti very engaged in the struggle. And he's a man of principles, a man of great conviction. Pacha has 2 children and his wife, Angel. And Pacha is very, very active and a principled man. He's a man of great courage and conviction. And this is that courage that on the day, I believe that was in December of 2002, when 2 assassins came in and he thought he was fighting one of them, and but he wasn't aware there was another one there, and they shot. And I believe that his father-in-law passed away from one of the bullets, and Pacha received the bullets that actually paralyzed him. But you can't stop that spirit of a powerful man, because he's there, he's very active, he's with the executive committee of Fanmi Lavalas, brilliant mind, contributes to the betterment of Haiti, always providing thoughts and ideas along with the other comrades from the executive committee of Fanmi Lavalas, close collaborator of President Aristide, and the Lavalas. Everything that was achieved by Lavalas really has been the work of these brilliant folks. And I want to emphasize that. Many times we hear of Haiti being a failed state. Many times they present Haiti from as if we need international experts. We need people to come and rescue us. But they always deny and don't let us know about the talents that are in Haiti. And these are the talents that are keeping things moving. And so much I could say about Dr. Narcisse, about Pacha, our dear brother, that I'm going to let them speak for themselves. You all have come to listen to their ideas. We don't have that opportunity all the time. So without further ado, let me pass on the mic to Pacha and Dr. Narcisse and Maryse and our beloved brother and sister team, executive committee members of Fanmi Lavalas. So you will be hearing from Pacha and Maryse together. It's a joint presentation, and they will pass we won't interfere with their exchange. They will be exchanging with us and making their presentation jointly. So thank you all so much for all your solidarity and support.
Maryse. I think you're on mute.
You're muted.
You're on mute. Okay. Greeting to everyone. Special greetings to Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and thank you for your talk. Thank you to Pierre for your kind presentation. Thank you to all. It's an honor for me to be part of this webinar discussing the crisis situation in Haiti. Thank you, Global Exchange, especially Walter Turner and Corina Nolet, for broadcasting this conversation on Haiti. Thank you to Margaret Prescod for all you have done for the struggle in Haiti. Thank you, Avotjca, for your poem. Thank you, Haiti Action Committee, for organizing this meeting to discuss Haiti in this critical moment. Thank you, Roth, for moderating this important discussion. We, Pacha and me, would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Haiti Action Committee as it marks its 30th anniversary. After the 1991 coup d'etat, founder of Haiti Action Committee set about to build an organization that will be in solidarity with the grassroots movement in Haiti in the struggle for freedom, justice, dignity, and democracy. The March 1992 visit of President Aristide to the Bay Area boosted Haiti Action Committee resolve and galvanized greater participation in its activities. Since then, Haiti Action Committee has continued to stand on the side of justice and participatory democracy in Haiti. On behalf of the Haiti grassroots movement, on behalf of Fanmi Lavalas, on behalf of the people of Haiti, a special thanks to the Action Committee. I would like also to thank the Haiti Action Committee affiliated organization, Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, for its support of education in Haiti. Special thanks to Walter Riley and to Sister Maureen Denon. Pacha?
Okay, before we start on the crisis, Maryse already spoke on behalf of both of us, so I will just say thank you all for this beautiful presentation and for having us. And we wanted to do just a small presentation of Fanmi Lavalas. Robert did a great job, but I will just add up a few words. Fanmi Lavalas is a grassroots political organization whose mission is to work with the poorest, marginalized people in their quest for a better life, dignity, justice, and freedom. Fanmi Lavalas is fighting for a real and deep change in Haitian society. Since its inception, it has always advocated for democracy in Haiti, access to education, health, food, housing, and economic opportunities for all. It is the Haitian people's attachment to an ideal of freedom and dignity, an ideal embedded in its historical journey that the Lavalas movement crystallizes and one that it continues to assert in the current context. Very often, people ask me, how is it that Lavalas represents the largest political party in Haiti? We could resume it in 5 points. Fanmi Lavalas is trusted for many reasons. Its resolute orientation to real and deep change in the standard of living of the poorest, the excluded, who constitute the overwhelming majority of the population. Its systematic refusal to subordinate the interests of the majority to those of individual groups, the formal inclusion of dignity and sovereignty of the nation in all of our political objectives, the unwavering loyalty of Fanmi Lavalas, to which is recognized by the masses and manifests an implacable coherence between political speech and political actions. And last, Fanmi Lavalas, national representative of Dr. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who does not compromise on principles or walk away from a steadfast commitment to the poorest. Maryse?
Yes. Coming back to today's discussion, it is essential to present a brief background on the historical context of Haiti's current situation. The Haiti crisis is multidimensional. To understand it, we must refer to our history and our social organization, then place the Haitian situation in its geopolitical and global context. Haiti is the first independent Black republic. This independence was acquired at the beginning of the 19th century by an unprecedented revolution in the history of humanity fought by slaves. it is no surprise that Haiti's sovereignty was not recognized by the slaving-owning world powers of the time. That took many years. Our country has to face an economic blockade. It was also forced to contract a crippling debt from former colonizer France in order to gain recognition of our independent state. The current situation in which Haiti itself finds itself derived from the same desire to put and keep Haiti under guardianship. The proud and combative people of Haiti have been forced to pay over and over again for having overturned the world order. They had to pay over and over again for disseminating ideas of freedom and dignity among other peoples. In what way? Here is a short list. Paying the so-called debt of independence paid to France in 1825. A US occupation from 1915 to 1929 that, among other things, subverted the economy and gave birth to internal army of countless episodes of foreign intervention and foreign-backed coup d'etat, open support for dictatorial rule, and lacking government in service of foreign powers. This obstacle to Haiti's full and complete sovereignty greatly impacted the prospect for economic development and the development of the population. Haiti today still suffers in various and underhanded forms the effect of a modern form of neo-colonialism, harmful to its emancipation and its sustainable economic development. Today, Haiti is plunged into a crisis of exceptional gravity. As I said it earlier, this crisis is multidimensional. It is political, economic, social, environmental, and international. Haiti is a dysfunctional state with a broken political system. After the fraudulent election of 2016, control of the country executive and legislative branches was turned over to the far right-wing party of former President Martelly, what we call PHTK, or the skinhead party. Since then, those in power have not organized mandated election at the national, regional, or local level. As a consequence of continuously postponing election, most elected positions have not been renewed, leading to a dysfunctional state. None of Haiti 146 counties, municipalities have an elected mayor. Only 10 of the 30 Senate seats are filled. The entire lower house of parliament is vacant. The Supreme Court is not operating, and at the highest level, the presidency is vacant. Because of the manner in which he was selected and put in office, the current Haitian Prime Minister lacks legitimacy in the eyes of many Haitians. Unilaterally nominated by Jovenel Moïse, and after Moïse's death, by a tweet from the international community, the so-called core group. Moïse himself was unlawfully occupying the presidency. He was supposed to step down in February 2021, But again, with the support of the international community, core group, he self-extended his term to February 2022. This international interference in Haiti affairs joined a long list of action by the international community to undermine true Haitian sovereignty. Pacha?
Haiti is not only a dysfunctional state, it is also under siege by heavily armed gangs. Insecurity, kidnapping, gang violence are rampant, making the daily life of Haitians filled with stress and fear. Haiti is under siege by heavily armed gangs since the electoral coup d'etat that put the PHTK legal bandits in power. Haiti has been experiencing progressively worse conditions, repression, corruption, kidnappings, and federations of gangs. Gangs are involved in spreading terror, murders, kidnappings, burning houses, rapes of women and young girls, and impoverished neighborhoods. People already with very little means have been forced to flee their homes to escape violence. Heavily armed gangs have orchestrated massacres, attacks the impoverished neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, La Saline, Bel Air, Cité Soleil, Carrefour Feuille. Thousands of people have been victims to this terror. Haitian government officials were implicated in the November 2018 massacre of La Saline, one of the worst attacks. This violence was committed in an attempt to stop anti-corruption protests. All of these crimes have been carried out with impunity. As a result of gang warfare, the country is blocked. Access to all region cut off. That is the situation of the gateway area to the southern departments. The municipality of Martissa has been a no-go zone area for almost 1 year. And as of last week, the same is true of the eastern and northern regions of the country via the towns of Croix-des-Bouquets, Croix-des-Missions, Chada, Santo, Butte-Boyer-Marin. Schools, stores, markets are forced to shut down. Because of the recent situation of war between rival gangs at the northern exit of the capital, the Office for Civil Protection reports that more than 20 people have been killed, including a family of 8. 3 young women and 3 children between last Sunday and Wednesday. There are no official statistics on the number of displaced people, but images are showing thousands of families fleeing their neighborhood to live on the streets with their children. And this rainy season, on their way to escape their neighborhoods, gangs are shooting at them, some are killed. And yet, for days, the government nor the police made any official statement. Last June, the UN estimated 19,000 persons in Martissa alone were displaced. Approximately 100 gangs are operating in the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince. Gangs control much of Port-au-Prince, the ports and the roads connecting to the rest of the country. Aircraft departing from Port-au-Prince to the USA now make a stopover in Santo Domingo to refuel, because the specific aircraft fuel is stored in an area controlled by the gangs and cannot be distributed to the airport. Gangs are now proliferating into other urban centers because of the intensifying poverty. New young recruits are easy to come by. Gangs in Haiti have strong ties to political and economic elite. They maintain connections within the police and the criminal justice system, which explains why they operate with impunity. People in power use armed gangs to block popular protests against the government and against massive corruption at all levels in the society. Repression, gang violence. Gang violence is a tool used to silence free speech and demands for access to education, healthcare, housing, food, and jobs. No official response from the government allowing the criminals to continue to act with near complete immunity. This is anarchy. Police repression, likewise, police repression is used to block and discourage all future protests. Corruption and ties with gangs are widespread among police officers. A sharp increase in human rights violations and abuses by the Haitian police has been reported. Arbitrary arrests, beatings, abusive use of tear gas, police involved in kidnappings, police working with gangs, the underpayment of police officers added to prolonged delays in payments up to 5 months, making it easy for the gang to recruit police. Kidnappings is a side gig for many police officers. Despite the insecurity, sit-ins and protests are held to denounce the ever-rising cost of living, insecurity, corruption, hunger. However, the police make an abusive use of tear gas to disperse these protests. Last February, thousands of textile employees were demonstrating in the streets of the capital to demand the increase of minimum salary. A deadly use of tear gas and shootings by the police left 1 journalist dead and 13 people injured. Massive corruption is widespread at all levels of the society. Government, business sectors, Haiti's police and justice system, given the existing impunity. To deal with all has been said, a weak judicial system which cannot ensure accountability for any criminal. 80% of people in prison are in preventive illegal detention. Maryse.
As a consequence of what has been said earlier, the economic situation is catastrophic. Poverty has reached inhuman limits. Some estimate put the Haiti's unemployment rate as high as 70%. Cost of living has increased due to political instability, bad state governance, gang restricted access to and from Port-au-Prince to the rest of the country, vertiginous acceleration in the price of basic necessities, recent increase of the price of fuel on the national market, and consequently the cost of transportation. Since last week, a decrease in fuel availability, deterioration of the exchange rate with the American dollar, losses of agricultural harvest caused by the recent flood. The inflation rate stands at 25.2% as of January 2022. It is probably higher in remote areas. In addition, there has been a reduction in the number of transfers to families. One reason is the $1.50 charged by the government on each and every transfer. In addition, Haiti is vulnerable to devastating natural disasters. The most recent one was the 7.2 magnitude earthquake on 14th of August that killed more than 2,200 people in the country's south region. Soon after the earthquake, a tropical storm hit the same affected area. This global situation, political instability, insecurity, economic catastrophe, has impacted agricultural harvest, food availability, making food prices too high for the most vulnerable household. For the period of March to June 2022, the percentage of people in situation of food insecurity is 45%, meaning that 4.5 million people are in urgent need of assistance. Pacha?
If we were searching for strategies to address Haiti global crisis, we would be addressing the insecurity being the top of the agenda. It is everyday insecurity that most Haitians see as their top concern. Haitians want a more stable and secure environment. The number one priority is to address the great insecurity of the Haitian people. Insecurity caused by the gangs and the breakdown of the justice system, and the end section engaged by 4.5 million people virtually hungry and starving. As said previously, the percentage of people and food insecurity from March to June 2022 is 4.5 million. 13% of the population are classified as being in situation of emergency, IPC phase 4, and 3.180 million people, which is 32%, in crisis, IPC phase 3. The 4.5 million people represent 45% in need of urgent assistance. In addition, 4 areas are classified as emergency, IPC phase 4. In particular, the coastal part of the southern department, the lower northwest of the high plateau in the central area, as well as the poor and very poor neighborhoods of Cité Soleil. The solution to the problem of insecurity does not require outside military intervention. After so many foreign interventions in Haiti without results, Haitian people have voiced their justified distrust of outside military intervention. They have not forgotten the cholera epidemics introduced by foreign troops, the rapes, the children left without a father. And today we can acknowledge the quantity of guns and ammunition being left in the hands of gangs all over the country. Strengthening of police. The interconnection among gang elites and the police helps explain why gangs continue to terrorize the population with almost complete impunity. Steps must be taken to strengthen the Haitian security forces, capacity to fight rising gangs, crimes, and improve citizen security, as well as intensify efforts to reinforce the justice system. However, providing technical expertise, training, equipment, and materials or other resources to the police force without simultaneously reinforcing the justice system to punish police misconduct, abusive will not lead to desired result and effective police force. Inner Haitian dialogue. There is no entity in Haiti that has any real official legitimacy. Not the Ariel Henry administration, nor the various political parties and civil society organizations. So there is a basis for all of them to humble themselves and work together on urgent matters such as the problem of insecurity, hunger, even while they engage in a dialogue about longer term matters such rebuilding the institution, reviving the constitutional order, a stable transitional government to organize free, fair, and democratic elections. In 2018, Fanmi Lavalas issued the following statement in total agreement with the demands of the people. Fanmi Lavalas made the decision to have discussions with all sectors because we believe that it is through an exchange of ideas with all the political organizations and those within civil society that we will find a common agreement on how to address the problems of Haiti. Members of the executive committee of Fanmi Lavalas have for the past few months been engaged in discussions with other organizations and representatives of civil society to reach agreement on how to put these changes in place. Just like the broader population, Fanmi Lavalas believes that the real solution to the crisis can only come through changing the system. That is real deep changes in the society, meaning a complete break with the old system, which brings only poverty, hunger, corruption, gangsterism. No hostility organized election is possible in this moment. The people are not about to a band-aid solution. Maryse?
Yes, yeah, we're going to try to go because we're almost over time, but what I will continue, what you started to say, since 2008, Fanmi Lavalas has proposed a stable transitional government that works to provide needed services to the people, improve living conditions, facilitate the return home of the daughter and son of Haiti, and regain our dignity as a sovereign people. This new political leadership has no choice but to act transparently and within the law. Other tasks, that's why since November 2008, Fanmi Lavalas has proposed to form a government that we call a salut public government, with Haitian authentic Haitian known for being serious, honest, and competent, to ensure a transition from the present government of exclusion and exploitation to another one of inclusion and transparency. Without a stable transitional government issued or from a political agreement, it is unlikely that attempt to fight the sources of violence and insecurity, to end impunity, to reinforce the rule of law will succeed. Other tasks of the salut public government will be organizing a national conference, rebuilding the judicial system, prosecuting anyone accused of serious crime, such as massacres and financial crime, and bringing to justice to the people who are the victims. This will send a powerful signal that nobody is untouchable. The transitional government must show commitment to ending impunity and stopping violence. Pacha?
It's all about education, education, and education. After talking about the country, it's important to understand that to move forward with a vision, Fanmi Lavalas, with his founder, President Aristide, when he came back from exile, said that education and education would be the priority. Today, UNIFA, the university founded by President Aristide, has a place to offer Haiti's youth not only an opportunity to higher education, but a place where they can come together and train to become Haiti's future leaders. Since his reopening in September 2011, and under the exceptional leadership of his founder and president, Dr. Aristide, 4,043 students across 9 different disciplines: medicine, nursing, engineering, physical therapy, dentistry, law, engineering and architecture, economy and management, agronomy and continuing education. From 2018 to today, 939 graduated in those different disciplines. Maryse?
It is not all. After 3 years, UNIFA is now finishing construction of its teaching hospital. The hospital encompasses over 54,000 square feet and will be able to accommodate 205 patient beds once completed. It will provide vital healthcare services to the community while it offers clinical training to UNIFA students. One of the most effective strategies in combating the healthcare crisis in Haiti is investing in medical education. This is the only way to ensure an increase in the dangerously low number of healthcare professionals available to meet the need of the population. Pacha?
From education, we need to go through also the decolonization of the consciences. It is necessary to succeed in the struggle we are waging for the development of our country. This mental decolonization involves several aspects. It includes the decolonization of political structures, legal and administrative system, mental attitudes, lifestyle. We must question the models and habits inherited from the colonial system. This must be done through education, hence the need to invest in people. The choice to invest in people implies respect for human rights, the modernization of our institution, and democratic governance. Maryse, I will let you conclude.
Yes. Yes, we could have spent the whole day discussing of strategies to address the situation in Haiti. But we went anyway through some of them. I think to conclude, what we would like to say, this is Haitian people continue their steadfast fight for democratic governance and true self-determination. Let me remind you that after the 2015-2016 fraudulent stolen election, over a period of 3 months, the people of Haiti organized 60 peaceful demonstrations and marches to protest what they called an electoral coup d'etat, demanding that their vote be counted and respected, that they have the right to freely choose representatives through fair elections, and that Haiti be free from interference from the international community. Protesters were shot, some killed, tear gas, beaten, and arrested by police force. Today, despite the insecurity situation, despite of gang threatening people in the poor neighborhoods, despite of the police force repressing any demonstration, almost every day there are protests sitting to denounce gang violence, killings, abuse, rape, and inhuman standard of living. We believe that the majority population is ready to unite around a common project to make up for the years of corrupt management and successive disasters. It is absolutely necessary that their voices, the voice of each citizen, be heard, and for the state to work foremost to provide needed service to the people, improve living conditions for the most vulnerable, and dignity of all. The struggle continues. I invite you to stay engaged. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Narcisse and Pacha Vorbe, for that detailed and invaluable look at the current situation in Haiti and the background to it. And I know I'm going to be, as an activist around Haiti, I will be studying your presentation over and over again over this next period of time. And thank you so much for bringing that to us. It's so important for our organizing and so important for our own education and our own understanding about the situation in Haiti. At this time, as we've been saying, this is a fundraiser for the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. And I'm going to bring on Walter Riley, who is a co-founder and co-chair of Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. And Walter is a civil rights attorney, a longtime activist in the Oakland area and before. And if there's a fight for social justice in the Bay Area, Walter is there. And whether it was the anti-apartheid movement or the fight for justice for Oscar Grant, the battle of moms for housing, or the current fight to stop the closure of Oakland schools and to stop the billionaire takeover of the Oakland port, you can find Walter on the front lines. And we're honored to have worked with him for all these years, both in Haiti Action and through the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. And who better than Walter to explain how important it is to give solidarity to the Haitian popular movement through the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. Walter?
Thank you, and thank you all. Go right down to HaitiEmergencyRelief.org and make a donation for all that you've heard and all that you've been motivated to do. It is indeed an honor for me to be here with these two tremendous leaders. I haven't seen you for a while. Last time I saw you was in 2019 in Haiti. These leaders of Lavalas are longtime freedom fighters, as all the leadership of Lavalas has been over all these years, and the work that Lavalas has been doing in the grassroots and communities throughout Haiti. They are experienced campaigners for real democracy, the democracy where the people of Haiti have the right to self-determination, determine who their elected leaders are, and to determine the policies that would govern their countries without the mandates imposed by outside colonial powers. HERF understands that the alliances of global powers with the capital financial markets and policies intend to subrogate the people of Haiti. They do this with the help of the colonized minds of the political and economic elite within Haiti, the oligarchy. The forces that the people of the grassroots movement have been fighting all their lives. Lavalas clearly is a continuation of the movement from 1791 to the 1803 to the present movement where people are fighting for real democracy, for self-determination for themselves, and part of that global movement that people have carried out throughout the global South to eliminate the power of the colonial powers dominating their economies, dominating their political life, dominating their education, and creating instability. HERF understands that the colonization, the powers outside of Haiti intend to ensure that there is chaos in Haiti, that there is no government that can serve the people. That was the result of their invasions in Haiti, the results of the kidnapping of President Aristide, the results of trying to destroy the ability of Lavalas to come to power, the response to all of the earthquakes, in particular the earthquake of 2010, when the colonial powers ensured through military occupation that there would be no resources provided for the people in the democratic grassroots movement. All of their efforts were designed to undermine the political movement of the folks that we support, the kind of work that HERF has been doing throughout all these years. We want to encourage the people of Haiti to carry out that fight, but in carrying out that fight, they need our support. HERF as an organization, HERF as part of a movement, and HERF through its contacts here in the US and other parts of the world, and particularly giving support to people in Haiti, have been able to play a role in ensuring that grassroots organizers are able to survive. You can't do work. You can't do work in Oakland. You can't do work in the city of New York. You can't do work any place if you can't eat, if you can't work, if you can't have an organization, if you can't get your materials out, if you don't have the ability to keep your kids alive. One of the things that we've been able to do is to work with people in the rural areas to help provide seeds and seed controls. Haiti is one of the few places that has been able to resist Monsanto. Keep those seeds out where they can have control of their own agriculture to some extent, even with the exportation of the powerful US markets to try and control Haiti. They do some of that because they get support from the organizers of Lavalas, and some of those organizers get support from what we are able to do and contribute. Monies that we've been able to send to the ground. We've been able to send money to market women who are part of Lavalas and helps to maintain that movement. Women have been the essential force for every democracy movement in the global South, in all of the struggles for the decades and decades against the capital and imperialism that has made it so important for people to stand together and organize. Those organizations require resources. We help to provide resources for those organizations. We have helped to provide the ability of market women to get their food to market, to sell them. We have helped to provide resources for market women to develop accounts where they can pay their bills. We have helped to support market women who have been attacked by the governments, Martelly's government. We have to support market women who are organizing training sessions within Lavalas to build political movement, crossing the cities. Those are the kinds of things we do to make it possible for this real democracy movement to exist here. The leadership of Haiti from the groundwork of Lavalas, the leadership of Lavalas is what is most important. Dr. Narcisse and Pacha Vorbe have been attacked physically. Dr. Narcisse was kidnapped because she's in Lavalas. And of course, we heard that Pacha Vorbe was shot because of his political movement, as has happened to so many people under attack. One of the things we do with financial resources is help to deal with folks when they are under attack, help to give them some abilities to sustain themselves. This is what HERF is about. In addition to building and helping to support small schools, educational programs to support the people, and largely women and the teachers who populate those schools, to ensure that students in those schools are able to get at least one meal a day. We support people building organized movements around labor. We have played a major role in helping to support the building of the hospital in Haiti. And we have right now ensuring that that hospital can get more equipment. We are raising money for that. We helped to build the radio program. Margaret Prescod and folks that she's worked with played a fantastic role in getting monies to get get the radio program going in Haiti. We want you to go to your website right now, our website, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org, and donate everything that you can to help us build this movement, to support these people who are doing this work, to help us to maintain the hospital and to sustain a grassroots movement that helps us to be part of a world that changes the way we relate to human society. Our government plays a major role in funding the gangs, funding the police, violation of human rights, and we have to organize ourselves in this country to try and stop the policies that help to create misery in Haiti. Misery in Haiti is undermining the ability for a popular democratic movement, unlike what the US does in some other parts of the world. Is it because they don't want to see a thriving Black political conscious economy with uncolonized minds running a government? That's what we're trying to do. Support the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Walter, for that powerful reminder of what the work is that we're supporting and the importance of the work that, we're in solidarity with every day in Haiti. And we're at 12:23, at least on my clock, which gives us a little time to, to ask. We've got a couple of questions that we'd like to ask our speakers, Dr. Narcisse and Pacha Vorbe, and maybe I can just package them together and you can have a chance to answer them and then we'll close. All right. So the questions are, and they're connected. Number one, what do you think the US strategy is right now in Haiti? What are the goals of the core group and the US State Department in Haiti? How do you see that? And connected to that, what do you think are the next steps for the popular movement to deal with that strategy and to move forward in this next period? So US strategy and the immediate kind of next steps for the movement that you see.
I don't know if Maryse is muted or unmuted.
Yeah, Maryse, you're muted. You have to,
Okay.
that's it, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. One of the strategy of the US now is they continue with the same type of government that are not working for the people of Haiti. They are pushing for election that are, when you consider the situation of insecurity and existing in Haiti, the power will go to the same people organizing the insecurity in Haiti. You have the capital that is cut from the rest of the country. You cannot go in some neighborhood. How can you talk about election? It means that you are going to vote for the people, or the people of Haitian want to vote. They want every vote to be counted. So this is one of the strategies to perpetuate the old system that bring only corruption, misery, and poverty. Pacha?
Adding to what Maryse just said, I think also we can question ourselves that the US wants to keep this country divided because they are making sure that we are fighting each other. The quantity of guns and ammunitions that are found in Haiti, they all come from the US. I'm sure they do know clearly from what channel they are being imported to Haiti, and we all know there's an embargo in Haiti. And also they would like to perpetuate the past government, like Maryse just concluded, that has brought corruption, hunger, and everything to this country. They don't want the participation of the majority no more. They would like to continue making sure that the majority stays silent and keep them aside. From the first part of the question, I don't know if Maryse would like to start the second part of the question.
The next step for the population, I think they have started yet, despite of gang violence, despite of the insecurity, despite of all the bad condition existing in the country now, people protest and sit-in are organized. They denounce the misery, poverty, they denounce the bad condition of living, they denounce the gang violence, they denounce impunity in that country. They believe in election, but they want fair, free, honest election. They don't want to have in this situation of insecurity, if elections are organized, it will be a selection. Pacha, you can add?
To add to it, you said probably everything that needs to be said. It's just the resilience of this population that really wants to see democracy succeed. And today they showed clearly that they will not be participating in any selections that the core group or the international community would like to put up in their face. They are going to resist and wait for the moment, the real moment where they see the emergence of this democracy, the development of the country, where they start thinking for them, because like we presented to you, you have close to 45% of the population and hunger situation. So until they see that we reach out to them, we start thinking about them, talking about them, showing them the road to education, the road to housing, you will not see a real participation of this population. They will be watching from the side and let everyone collapse unilaterally, because today the failure of Haiti is the failure of the international community and the core group that have been putting billions of dollars and not showing nothing for it, while the Lavalas movement, that when it was elected in 1990 with a very little budget, we saw the presentation and saw how we can build this country together.
I think that that's a good way to end our webinar today. And I think that you presented such a moving vision of what's possible in Haiti and what the goals are of the grassroots movement that you're both a part of and have emerged out of. And we want to thank you so much for being here with us today. We want to thank the organizations that have supported this event. We got support from so many grassroots organizations in the US and around the world for this. I want to thank all of the panelists, and I want to again thank Global Exchange and Karina Nolette for your work in making sure that this webinar went off with very few glitches. So thanks everyone. Reminder, as Walter was saying, this is a fundraiser for Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. Go to www.haitiemergencyrelief.org, and thank you again and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.